what do you want to tell me that is your story to tell
Yeah.
about your personal life and upbringing?
Yeah, so I was raised by a very strong mother, and my grandmother. They were very instrumental in my life, and they've taught me the importance of wearing my heart on my sleeve and
Hmm.
the power of being vulnerable. And within that, I've always kind of led with that in whatever I was doing in my life, whether that's academic writing, whether that's, playing a sport. I've always been able to kind of speak up. But I recognized that when I endured my own situation with domestic violence, speaking up was something that was really difficult for me to do.
Yeah.
And in that experience, that's when I told myself, maybe I write the book.
Did you feel at the time, so there was domestic violence towards you, did you feel at the time that you didn't have a voice or people didn't want to hear?
And that's exactly what I felt, Suzanne. I think that when I was enduring that, like, to be very clear, I almost lost my life. I
Hmm.
almost died. And because society oftentimes discourages males, to kind of share their story and be vulnerable,
Hmm.
I'm to be so honest, I was so nervous to even say anything because on one hand, I almost lost my life, and on the other hand, I'm dealing with what society might say about me saying I'm a survivor of this, and this is what I'm
Yeah.
going to do moving forward.
So how has your upbringing shaped who you are today in terms of the good that was done to you and the bad that was done to you?
What I've learned is that you have to live every single day like it's your last.
Hmm.
And I've also recognized the power of forgiveness. And sometimes you have to forgive the other person. What I had to do was forgive the other person, um, so I can forgive myself, right? Because in me kind of feeling like I had no voice, I was almost kind of doing myself a disservice because I recognized that there's so much power in vulnerability.
Hmm.
So I had to recognize a lot of things. And I think the biggest thing that I recognized was that there's so much power in
There
forgiveness.
is. So when you say to forgive yourself, do you mean that you didn't speak up for yourself in the moment?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it was hard for me to even talk about it, right? Because
Yeah.
you're dealing up with that internal conflict. And, with motivation, it has to be intrinsic. You have to have that self motivation to be able to do things like speak up, right?
Yeah.
And I was really struggling with it. And then at some point, I was talking to my friends and I shared that I almost died with my friends, and they were like, Eugene, like, this same thing happened to me too. And that's when
Wow.
I recognized it was like bigger than
Nobody
me.
speaks up. Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
speaks up.
Yeah. I love the idea of forgiveness that you're setting your own self free.
That's exactly why I named my book Resilience Breaking the Chains, because
Mm.
at that point, I
Hmm.
recognized that I wanted to be part of that solution to help break those societal chains and lead with resilience,
Hmm.
because it's bigger than me. I have a little brother who's 4, and I wanted to show him that, you don't necessarily have to write a book at 22, but what you can do is you can be vulnerable, you can be resilient, and
Right.
just because society might tell you something, but doesn't always mean that you have to follow that. You can kind of step out and do your own
Yeah.
thing.
In writing the book, what are you the most passionate about in terms of like the messaging you want to send? And you've got a lot of messaging.
I think that the biggest thing, the most thing that I'm proud about in the piece of literature that I've written is that I was really able to kind of redefine what strength is, right?
Mm.
Not as like really suppression, but as self awareness, right? And in my book, I really kind of hone in on the fact that, masculinity can coexist with vulnerability,
Yeah.
and that, we need to normalize things like therapy tears.
That is it. I think that's it. Like masculinity is symbiotic
It is.
with vulnerability. You can have the two
It is.
together and they work with each other,
They
feed off
do.
each other. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah. That's
100%.
powerful.